All right, go ahead and say something, Cole.
Hello, welcome to school. The
Okay.
school, the Ween School.
All right.
Weenieology.
Weenieology 505. We're getting in there.
There it
Is it going?
goes.
Are we good?
Yeah. You are solid as a cucumber.
Okay, excellent. So, we'll go ahead and get started here with the Ween class. Um, as you remember, this is what the Ween document looked like the last time we saw it. This is not what we'll be working with today.
Oh.
But just to kind of jog your memory of what it looked like, when I went back to fill out the Pure Guava songs, I realized that there were some connections that I missed, and that it's kind of just sort of hard to read in general. Um, so I decided rather than retrofitting it, I would just make a whole new one, which is what we have here. Now, keep in mind, my goals with this is to make it easier to read on like a glance, and and to sort of cut down the amount of things I am including. So connections that aren't included in here are anything, any concept that has less than two. It's got to have either three or more occurrences to be included on the chart. Doesn't include anything speculative. Doesn't include any one-off references or more vague, like thematic through lines. That would be a more complicated chart. But it's loading again.
Oh.
Here it is. Hold on, I gotta zoom out. Here it
Oh
is.
my fucking god.
So,
What?
so rather than this whole mess of the flowchart of the concept as it evolved, I just decided to include all the songs on each album to give you a more accurate visual representation of exactly how much connective tissue there is between each album. And I guess I'll put this in the music chat since we're focusing on Pure Guava. We're not, even though I would love to go back and talk about the oneness and the pod, because there's, as you can see, a whole lot of action going on in here. We'll be talking about how it relates to Pure Guava the most. And as you can see, it's not all that cluttered over here. You can see that the pod and the oneness are pretty much inseparable. They're connected, and the pod, most of the pod's connections are with its own self. Just between pork roll, egg, and cheese, and Van Winkle, you've got like 8 songs that all reference each other just within the pod alone. But specifically talking about Pure Guava, and this is kind of indicative of how it's kind of moving away from the Brown era and leaping into the future. There's only, the vaguest thematic connections. The most obvious being all the way back to starting with everybody's favorite song, "Licking the Palm for Guava,"
Mm-hmm.
which was the first utterance of guava in the Ween universe, but certainly not the last, as you can see. It had a significant presence in the pod. We won't go into all my theories about what guava represents as much as I would like to. We got into that on the pod. But Pure Guava obviously is a significant reference, being it's the whole title of the album. As well as Weasel. Weasel makes 2 appearances on this album. Mostly a common theme on the first album, lots of Weasel songs. But Stallion Part 3 and Big Jim, 2 very popular songs for you guys, both contain the Weasel. Obviously, the Stallion is a significant connection. Part 3 in the 5-part series of the Stallion. And I kind of broke my rule here. I mentioned this earlier, but Can You Taste the Waste is pretty clearly referenced in Tender Situation. And even though those are the only 2 references to Can You Taste the Waste that we are currently aware of, In a future album, there is a third, and it's one of my favorite callbacks. So I included it just in case we update this all the way into the future.
Please do.
Yeah, same. I want this to
Um,
happen.
Speaking on that, though, there may be some issues with that because I'll zoom out a bit. As you can see clearly shown by this graph, there are two trends going on here. Anybody identify one of those two trends for me? Anybody?
The albums are getting shorter.
Excellent. Very good boy. Very smart boy.
I'm sorry, Professor, I didn't study for the final.
Yeah.
That's okay, but this will be on the test. But yes, you are correct. The albums, and this is something that will sort of continue. It'll stabilize. You know, they'll kind of stick to a pretty consistent number of songs with their future albums. But you can already see that they are condensing, pruning a bit, if you will. Gone are the days of having almost 30 tracks on an album. And with that, the pod and the oneness were the same length, but Pure Guava is by far the shortest album so far. And so as we go on, the albums will be more concise, less tracks, higher quality, shorter, more focused runtime. That is the first trend that will continue on into the future. Can anyone, we already kind of hinted at it, can anybody tell me what the second trend is? Full teacher mode. You get one more chance. Anybody? How about you?
Who are you pointing at?
How about you? All right, we already talked about it, but there's
a
there's
lot
far-
less self-referential stuff, right?
yeah,
So-
a lot less connections to the previous albums. While these two were like full of self-references within the album and then references between them, Pure Guava is a lot more of its own thing. It brings a lot more of its own concepts to the table while still carrying a lot of the recognizable themes and like motifs with a couple direct references. And this will continue. As you can see, there are only 3 kind of trails leading off into the future. That being Can You Taste the Waste, a reference to this song. Brain, that being brain imagery, actions being done to a brain, comes up more than you would think it would. As does licking imagery, the act of licking something, which will come up in the future. So this isn't complete. There are, as I said, lots of connections that I didn't include just for, being able to take a look at it and know what the hell you're seeing. But I may continue updating this as we go along, but I might not, because it might not be as interesting as all this, because as we go along, every album will be more self-contained with like little treats in there of, familiar Ween isms. But for the most part, this is as involved as it's really gonna get. If you can sort through all this, then you're pretty much good. And that's about it. That's about all I've got. I would love to dive into all this mess again, but we've already gone through that. And you guys don't care, and that's okay.
What? We don't care?
Oh, we care.
We care a
Honey, if we
shit
didn't
ton.
care, we would have told you to stop picking Ween albums.
Well, in that case, let me tell you about Eddie Dingle.
Okay.
Yes!
I'm
I have
just
an idea.
kidding. I'm just kidding. What?
So I was actually gonna plan this a little bit more in the future, but I was thinking about doing a PowerPoint hangout session where we all just make a PowerPoint of whatever we want, and we all just share it with each other.
That
And
would
I was
be
thinking
super
the
fun.
Ween one would be perfect for you.
Just like pick a topic and give a little presentation about it. I pretty much did that just now.
I
Yeah,
would
like
that'd be
in
fun.
depth and like with like visual aids. I think it would be hilarious.
I would be 100% down to do that. But let me think. Was there anything else? I mentioned one of the big reasons I love this album is because of how much Diener representation there is. With there only being two main members of the band, of course you're going to be able to detect both of them pretty much all the time. Because Diener obviously has a very distinct voice, and Diener has a very distinct style of playing his guitar. But one of the things that's special about this album is it's just chock full of Diener getting to sing, which isn't unusual. We've heard it before, and we'll hear it again in the future. But I love songs where they get to talk to each other back and forth, or where it's just Diener doing his thing. I love both of the Ween boys equally, I'd say. But if this was like one of those things where it's like which boy in the boy band is your favorite, like which hot identical looking like Korean school guy is your favorite,
Who
I
would
would
you
probably.
say is the Jim Cook of Ween?
I don't know who Jim Cook is.
That's odd. No. Who?
But
Which one is the Jimin?
is the who?
Yeah. Who's the Gemin of Ween?
I don't know who Jimin is. Who's Jimin?
It's BTS.
Yeah.
But I love hearing from Diener. Diener is excellent because mostly you're hearing his music, you're hearing his expression via an instrument, so it's just fun going back in time and hearing his voice, hearing him call his friend Dude Man. It's very special.
Oh,
But enough about me whinging on about one of my favorite things, one of the things that makes life worth living. I am gonna make the screen very bright now so you can see my face. Oh, Christ. Oh,
All right, give it
Jesus.
to 10, Cole.
Yeah, wait.
Ow.
I am gonna record this. This is recording. Sam is gonna see this. So.
Alright. So, let's see. What have I given the previous Ween albums?
10 and 10.
I can't quite remember. Let's see. 10. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you know, as much as it's very hard for me to pick a favorite, especially between the first 3 albums in the Brown era, because they're all very special, distinct flavors of a very special period of time. I'm very interested in the ones that you guys have picked as your favorites. It was very fun for me to hear your reasoning. I'm very pleased that some of you picked the pod. I think that's very interesting. And so, yeah, well, I mean, what do you think was gonna happen? You idiot? What'd you think?
Yo, that's a 10.
It's a 10.
Oh my!
I'm sorry.
Nobody's
God.
ever seen it before.
Yeah, I know you didn't see it coming, but I just can't bring myself to bring it any lower than that because I wouldn't even dream of touching this album with a 10-foot pole as far as changing anything. It's all just so inspired, so genuine, so full of personality and confidence, yet it has a total lack of any sort of ego. It's funny, it's catchy, it's engaging, and I just love it to pieces. Like with every Ween album I've talked about so far, and probably every one we will talk about. You know this at this point. At this point, I'm talking about it for you, okay? I need you to understand that I'm doing this for you, okay? This is for your benefit. You need to see things the way I do, okay? I'm trying to help you. Alright? I just need you to understand that.
I need you to
Okay.
understand that you are a flawed individual, and I am trying to make you better.
Nah, I'm just goofing with you because I get a little bit fanatical. But I'll take every opportunity I can get.
Hey man, we love when we love when you review Ween. We just love like no, I'm being honest. We love the fucking like heart you put into it, the genuineness. Like what you see in the Ween, we see with your appreciation of the Ween albums. We're just like, oh,
Yeah.
your reviews are a 10 out of 10 for us.
Like I'm really on the edge of my seat for every single score that's dropped for it so far. It's a real toss up, you know.
We're never gonna know. Like you say, it's gonna be 10, but
What are you gonna do if I like come in here and there's like a Ween album that I like really don't like? What are you gonna do then?
probably cancel album review.
I'll be very concerned if there's a Ween album you don't like, because it's probably like a 1.
Yeah, for like the rest of us.
I've
might be
never given anything a 1. I don't think.
You gave the Gregorian Chant album a 0.
Well, everybody did that
Except Sam. By the way, Sam, you fucking suck.
You're not even here to defend yourself.
Everyone point and laugh. Point and laugh.